Here's a quick rundown of today's top stories. Wednesday, January 29th. President Marcos urges Filipino-Chinese community to confidently pursue grand ambitions for themselves and for the greater good. President Marcos encourages the Filipino-Chinese community in the country to be inspired by the new year to set their intentions and confidently pursue grand ambitions both for themselves and for the greater good, as said in his Chinese New Year message on Wednesday, January 29th. Marcos further told the Filipino-Chinese community that the new year serves as a reminder that every challenge is a chance for growth. The Chinese New Year is annually celebrated in the country and is declared as a special holiday. Vice President Duterte encourages in rediscovering the rich and dynamic heritage in Philippine-Chinese ties. Vice President Sara Duterte urged the Philippines and China to go on a path of rediscovering the rich and dynamic heritage that have made their friendship strong. In her message for the 2025 Spring Festival, the official sent her warmest greetings of peace and called for everyone to embrace the spirit of generosity and harmony that defines this season. Duterte said that aside from honoring the rich traditions of both countries, the season also underscores the strong bonds of collaboration between the two countries. Secretary Angara says he agrees with the temporary suspension of the Education Department's comprehensive sexuality education. Department of Education Secretary Sunny Angara on Tuesday, January 28th, said that the agency can make do with a temporary suspension of the controversial comprehensive sexuality education while it is under review. Angara made the remark after Senator Sherwin Gatchalian stated during the hearing of the Senate Committee on Basic Education that he's for the temporary suspension amid the confusion among policymakers and implementers. During the hearing, Gatchalian quizzed DepEd Assistant Secretary Janir Datukan about references and whether the teachers are trained on what to use when teaching sexual education and in the matters of cultural sensitivity, as per DepEd Order Number 31. House Representative Salceda wants to know whether rice importers are making obscene profits. House Quinta Committee Overall Chairman, Albay 2nd District Representative Joey Salceda wants to know whether or not the country's rice importers are involved in financial shenanigans. Salceda, during the 5th hearing of Quintacom on Tuesday, January 28th, disclosed that the Anti-Money Laundering Council and the Bureau of Internal Revenue were investigating rice importers to uncover any illegal profits or undeclared earnings. Marikina City's 2nd District Representative Stella Kimbo said in particular that importers might be leveraging both imported and local rice stocks to control prices. This was the pattern observed in the onion industry when it was probed by the House. Representative Brosas says the deal between the Maharlika Investment Corporation and the National Grid won't solve power sector woes. Gabriela Party List Representative Arlene Brosas is doubtful that the Marcos government's deal with privately owned transmission company, National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, can address the fundamental issues plaguing the power sector. Brosas, a member of the militant Makabayan bloc, was referring to the administration's move of acquiring stakes in the NGCP through the Maharlika Investment Corporation, which manages the controversial Maharlika Investment Fund. The state's acquisition of a 20% stake in NGCP comes at a time when the House of Representatives, through the Committee Legislative Franchises, is seriously looking into the performance of the power grid operator. House members have assailed NGCP for being in a monopoly, and yet it cannot seem to fulfill its mandate under its existing franchise. The NCIP warns the public on fake indigenous peoples group in Caraga. The National Commission on Indigenous Peoples has urged the public to be vigilant against a bogus group claiming to be the legitimate representative of indigenous peoples groups in the Caraga region. The NCIP issued the statement after a group called the Federal Tribal Government of the Philippines conducted unauthorized checkpoints and closed several establishments in Surigao City. Led by self-proclaimed chieftain Jorgeto Corpus Santisas, also known as Datu Adlaw, the group asserted that all lands in Surigao City and Surigao del Sur belong to their ancestral domain. Dozens are injured in a stampede at the massive Maha Kumbh festival in India. A stampede injured dozens of people on early Wednesday as local media reports the tens of thousands of Hindus rushed to take a holy bath in the river at the massive Maha Kumbh festival in northern India. It was not immediately clear what triggered the panic at the festival, where devotees from across India had congregated to bathe at the confluence of the Ganges, the Yamuna, and the mythical Saraswati rivers. The Press Trust of India cited authorities who said injured people were sent to a hospital. The Maha Kumbh festival, held every 12 years, started on January 13th and is the world's largest religious gathering. Authorities expect more than 400 million people to throng the pilgrimage site in total over the next 6 weeks. U.S. President Trump aims to end federal support for gender transitions for those under 19. President Donald Trump on Tuesday signed an executive order aimed at cutting federal support for gender transitions for people under age 19, his latest move to roll back protections for transgender people across the country. The order says that it is the policy of the United States that it will not fund, sponsor, promote, assist, or support the so-called transition of a child from one biological sex to another, and it will rigorously enforce all laws that prohibit or limit these destructive and life-altering procedures. The new order suggests that the practice could end and targets hospitals and universities that receive federal money and provide the care. Stay updated with the latest news. Visit our website at www.mb.com.ph or follow us on social media. Thanks for tuning in to the Manila Bulletin Daily Rundown.